and his vision for the arts is well known in Zion and surrounding communities as he's built diverse programs attracting hundreds of loyal listeners. Ron is a professional violinist, singer, actor, conductor for over 20 years and has specialized in worship consultation and practices. Ron is also sought as a musical director and works as a consultant on the arts and worship. He also enjoys a diversity of performing and conducting experience, and his reputation for instilling excellence and artistry into musicians is his deepest passion. From classical to Broadway, barbershop to gospel, Ron comfortably communicates the beauty of great music. Please help me welcome the power of your voice, Mr. Ron Arden.
That person you're talking about. Well, thanks for having me. It's a privilege to be here. I love talking about the human voice. I want to start by saying it's really intriguing to hear voices and go around the room and meet all of you through your voice. Our voice is a part of our soul, a part of the human spirit, right? So if we're at a big meeting someplace, or we're at a wedding reception, or out in public, and we're friends, I may not be able to see you, and may not even know that you're there, but if you were to see me and call across the room, I would know you by what? Your voice, right? So this thing inside of us is really not, I want you to get a couple of things today. One of the first things is that you are your voice, your personality, your brain. What you think, what you feel is your voice. Now, I know a little bit about Toastmasters. I stumbled into doing this in the most miraculous fun way. I spoke at a Barrington Rotary, and there was a person there who, we didn't become friends, but she called and she knew that I taught voice at Barrington High School, and she said, "Hey Ron, I'm having some trouble with my voice. I'm a Toastmaster." And I knew about Toastmasters. I've known about them for most of my life, and I've had friends that have done it. I said, "Well, how can I help you?" She goes, "Well, I'm just having some trouble with my," she goes, "I don't know, there's a quaver in my voice, and I'm unsure, and I don't have much power." Well, you know the story. So I'm a kind of artist that refuses to be one-dimensional, to just fit in an niche. I play viola, by the way, not violin, but that's right. My dad called it a violin until the day he died, because he didn't know what a viola was. Do you know? Who knows what a viola is? What's a viola, Frank?
Just like a smaller, bigger version of a violin.
Just like what? F. You get an F for that answer. What's a viola? That's closer. I'm pulling your chain. It is, if you know choirs, it's soprano, alto, tenor, bass in a choir, right? The viola, which is the king of the string family, is the alto of the strings. So anyway, so I play viola, and I very rarely said no to something. So I've done a lot of, my resume has sort of happened to me over the years of my life, and I look at it, and I came up with the word Renaissance man on my website because in the time of the Renaissance, the 1600s and 1500s, artists and musicians and theologians and authors and poets and politicians all did various kinds of things. They didn't just paint. They didn't just do music. They didn't just do poetry. They were involved in all of the cultural disciplines. And so I looked, when I went to brand myself on the website, I thought, what's a good title for me that's not cocky, but descriptive of who I am? Because some people will see my resume and they'll either say, that can't be true, he didn't do all these things. Because in the arts world, and in the business world actually, people don't trust people who have resumes that have so many diverse things on them. So they might react that way, or they might go, well, he's probably not very good at any of them. He just doesn't, which is just not true. I'm driven by excellence. I had a perfectionist father, so you're from Asian culture, you know what perfection-driven is, all that stuff is like, okay? So, anyhow, I said, okay, I'll meet you. And I thought, what am I doing? What am I going to, so she came to my studio in Barrington, this person from Toastmasters, and she started talking, and I said, yeah, there are some issues here. So I just gave her a regular voice lesson, like I would if she was going to sing. And I have to tell you, it was a holy moment for me, because I thought, wow, I can do this. This is really, I can spend, I want to be spent. I want to use my life to give to other people as much as I possibly can. That's as you get to know me, you'll realize that I love doing that. And so for a long time, we just had private lessons at the high school, and some of my colleagues were like, what are you doing in there with that older woman? I said, I'm just teaching her how to be a better speaker, how to use her voice, just like we would with a voice student, right? So then she introduced me to another Toastmaster, and he had private lessons for a while, and they both graduated out of my studio and now know how to use my techniques, and eventually I got invited to Toastmasters, a couple different clubs, and I've led at least one class. I'm looking for 4 nights in a row that I can teach another class for pay. So today I come to you for free because I like you and because who knows what will happen. So all that to say, I'm an expert about what I know vocally, and I think that it translates over really well to Toastmasters. I've also learned through some colleagues at Toastmasters, while they have guidelines and a rule book, I guess it is, or whatever it might be, that really, with all respect, they're not addressing what I would call some of the best ways to become a better speaker. So I'm here to give you what I think are some of the best ways, and it begins with understanding how the voice works. So, when you speak or when you sing, and you don't have to raise your hand, what's the first thing that happens? By the way, I ask a lot of questions. You can't flunk anything.
He does.
Yeah. So what's the first thing you do when you speak?
Breathing.
Who said that? Yes, you do. Great. Everybody agree?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Where does the air go?
Lungs, diaphragm.
Lungs. Okay, she mentioned another, but we're going to talk about that again in just a second. And where are the lungs, actually? Can you point to your lungs? Where are your lungs? Down there? No! That's where you put rice, dude. That's not where your lungs are. Oh, where are your lungs?
Chest.
In your chest, yeah. Okay, can anybody just show me where they think the bottom and the top are? It's much higher than you think. The lungs are way up here, so they end at your collarbone and about midway down, because there's a lot of other junk down here, right? Like your stomach and liver and all that stuff. Okay, so you'd be surprised how many times I ask a brand new voice student, what's the first thing that you do? And they say some innocuous thing. But finally, when we get to the breathing, I'll say, well, where does the air go? And they'll say, into my stomach. I go, well, there'll be a lot of burping then. If that's so, no, you breathe, right? That's perfect. Air goes into your lungs. Somebody mentioned the diaphragm. Do you know what the diaphragm is?
Yeah.
I know it's right underneath the lung.
So you don't know what it is. And does anybody think they know what it is? Anybody want to guess? You can't flunk. Can't flunk. You know what the diaphragm is? What's your name?
I'm guessing.
You're guessing? Your name is, I'm guessing? What's your name? Say. Okay, so what do you think it is? Don't leave your brother alone.
I think it's like vocal cord.
Nope, not vocal cords. Anybody? Anybody? Go ahead.
I think it separates where the lung is and the bottom part is.
Yes, it separates your, it is, for those of you ladies who had mothers that wore girdles, I call it the girdle for the rib cage. It's a muscle that's all the way around here, and when you breathe, the diaphragm expands, giving room for you to take as much breath as possible. When you start to expel or use the air, the diaphragm helps you by moving up and out, or up and in, like that, right? So it separates the lung and heart cavity from your gastrointestinal cavity, right? So it has a whole bunch of functions, but its main function is to support the lungs and help you receive and give out air, all right? All right, so we breathe. What, when we're going to talk, then, now we have air in our lungs, what's the next thing that happens? Anybody know? You what?
The air out.
The air goes out, okay? And So you're probably thinking, what is this about? I want to know how to give a better speech, right? We're getting to that. But if you don't know how your body works, how can you give good speech? If you don't know how your body works, how can you give a good speech? If you don't know how the voice works and how the breathing works, how can you give a good speech? That's like getting in your car and not knowing what a steering wheel is. Seriously, it is. Okay, that's why I'm asking these questions. And you're going to be so happy, and you're going to go to other Toastmaster clubs, and you're going to go, I know exactly how my body works and how my voice works. And you don't have to use my name, just say, I know. Okay, so what happens? The air is coming out, yes?
Along with your words, and speech is coming out, and air is slowly coming out as you're speaking.
Like this?
And where I like hold it in, and then all of a sudden I like lose my breath.
Oh.
I'm tense. Everything is like.
Ah.
Yeah.
So we have this air coming. She's going like this. That's not really what's happening because it's a flow, right?
Okay.
So how is the sound made? If I say good afternoon, what makes that sound?
Vibration.
What vibrates? The vocal cords, or let's call them folds, okay? Everybody has two folds, vocal folds, and they're shaped like this, and they're inside the voice box, and they vibrate when air passes through them. If you don't have a grip of that, then you cannot be a good speaker, because you're going to know about that and how to use it properly, and the air properly, so that you can have good projection, right? Everybody understand that so far? Okay. Good. And I have some vocal exercises, and we're going to try some of them today. And then I have sheets that you can take home to do them on your own if you'd like to. That's totally up to you. So my folds have vibrated. What happens next? So they're in here, and they're vibrating. Let's think of an example that will help us. I bet you were nervous. You were giving a lot of answers for a nervous person. That's good. That's good. So when I play the piano, anybody play the piano in here? Okay, I put my finger on the key. The key is attached to a hammer, right? The hammer does what? It strikes a string, and the string vibrates. Let's pretend that at that point, that's the vocal fold. What happens to that sound that I just made at the piano before it gets to my ear? What does it do? Yes?
It makes a sound.
It makes a sound. Something more in detail than that. What does it do? What? It what?
Make it louder.
Make it loud? Nope.
Wave.
Huh?
Wave.
It waves at me? Gee, man. Disappointed. No, there is an airwave, but something happens before it travels on the airwaves. Anybody? Boys? What? It vibrates. Very good. Where does it vibrate? Inside a box, right? And they're all different kinds of pianos, little ones, big ones, concert grands, all kinds. And the sound of each instrument is qualified by the shape and sound of its box, where it vibrates. And then it hits the airwaves and comes to my ears. So now let's go back to the human body. Now what happens after this sound is made? You guys are answering all the questions. You can't. What happens? Where? The whole thing. The folds, my folds, yeah. But then just like, so that's like a string in the piano. So where is the box? Your head, your throat. Where else? Your chest, down here, okay? Everybody say, good morning, Ron. Good morning. No, very low. Good morning. Oh, down here. Okay, my sternum, my chest cavity, right? My whole body is my voice. My whole body is my voice. If you're here because you want to learn how to project, that's going to be one of the key things for you, is forgetting about this here, the folds, and because I call them the queen of the human voice. And you know the queen, you know what she does? She just sits in the carriage and she goes like this, right? Have you heard about that? You know the queen of it? Yeah, it's a funny story. That's all she does. She just waves and smiles. Okay, but what's everybody else around her doing? Working very hard, right? So we're going to leave the queen alone. We're going to talk about her. We're going to leave the queen alone and talk about everything else. We won't get it all covered in one session, believe me. But we're going to scrape the surface a little bit. So